Today I'm going to try and make a quilt. These are the fabrics I've found that I have enough of at the moment. I'm going to look around and see if I have anything else that I could maybe add to this mix. Okay, I rummaged around in my fabric for a little bit and I found some different fabrics. Now, I'm not sure. I think this might be a little bit too yellow for these colors that I've picked out, so I might not even use this. Actually, I might use it instead of like batting. Instead of making it like super thick, I might just make it like a thin blanket, so I might just put that in the middle of it, but I haven't really decided yet. So I found this old flannelette sheet. Well, it's not old, I bought it brand new with a sheet set and then never used the flat sheet because I don't like flat sheets. But this checkerboard's really nice, so I thought that could be the backing fabric of the quilt. And then for the front, I found this plain like green, I believe it's a polycotton. This is a printed muslin in these like cute little rainbows. I don't know, does that even all go? Like if the rainbows were on the front and then the gingham was on the back? I mean, I think it does, but I think this fabric here is too yellow, so we might just do these. I was just gonna do a simple like squares, like checkerboard kind of pattern, because I've never really done anything quite like this, but I'm feeling alright about it. Like, I'm pretty excited to do this, so I'm just gonna make like a baby size or like a little size. So I think the first step I'm gonna do is cut this fabric and this green fabric into squares, and then we can start sewing it together. I'm gonna get to cutting. I don't know what size squares I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a template with a little piece of paper. Okay, I found this piece of paper. It's a rectangle because I ripped it out of a notepad, but I'm going to make it a square, and then we're going to use that as the template. And also, before I get started, I have to clean off my sewing desk because there's currently quite a lot on it and I cannot cut out my fabric, so I have to do that first. Okay, so that should be a square. I will measure it afterwards to make sure. I just have to find my scissors. You may be thinking there's a pair of scissors right there, but no. Don't use fabric scissors for paper because it will dull them really easily. So I have two pairs. Okay, this should be a square. I'm going to measure it with my ruler and just make sure, because I think the only way this will work is if it's perfect squares so they all line up. But yeah, like I said, going to clean off my sewing desk and then we'll get started cutting this into little squares. Okay, this looks pretty cute all laid out like this. I don't think I actually need that many more squares. In my head, for some reason, I worked out I needed like 100 squares, but this is 6 squares. I was gonna do it like 7 by 7 or 8 by 8, I haven't decided. So I only need a few more of the rainbow ones, and I think I've cut out enough of the green. But I'm just gonna get started by sewing them together, and then I can cut some more squares out later, just because I want to get the sewing process started. So I'm going to set up my sewing machine and pin these all together with their little buddy. I'm going to do it in strips first, and then we'll sew it together the other way. So I'll show you. my machine does make a slight buzzing noise, so hopefully you can't hear it. But so I have pinned all the squares, and I'm just going to sew them all together to their buddy, and then we will, I'm not going to iron them because I honestly can't be bothered. So I'm just going to like flatten the seams out to sew them together in the next step. But for now, I'm just going to sew the little buddies together. Okay, now I have this little bunting of squares all sewn together, so I'm going to separate them all. I did use like a peachy coloured cotton purely because that was what was threaded on my machine, but you're not going to see this, so I'll change it when it comes to top stitching. I'll pick something that actually matches the fabrics. But okay, I'm just going to cut them all apart, and then I'm going to put them back into that layout that I had them in before. But I am going to kind of press the seams with a bit of water. I'll show you what I do to flatten them out a little bit. But basically what you would do, if you were going to iron it, which you probably should, it'll probably turn out a lot nicer, but you separate these two seams here and iron this flat like that, so that when you're sewing the rest of the squares together it sits nicely. But I honestly don't have easy access to my iron or want to stand over the iron for half an hour doing this, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I have this spray bottle of water. I usually use this for my hair, but it's just got water in it, just like tap water. It's not hot or anything. So I'm just going to, with my hands, just press the seam a little bit, and then I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of water and then flatten it out. And I find it sits flat. I mean, the pieces are a little bit wet then, but I find they dry off relatively quickly, especially since I've got my fan going. So I'm just going to do that to every piece in this pile. But yeah, like I said, if you want to do it properly, I would probably get my iron out, but just for my first go and a practice, and I honestly don't want to get the iron out, I'm just going to do it like this. So I'm going to do that to all of them, and then we will put them back in that like arrangement so I can see which bits I need to sew together next. Alright, this is the strip that I've ended up with. Well, it's kind of difficult to show you, but I'll flip it this way. This is not all of the squares that I cut out. This was just, I think, a small batch of them, but I sewed them all together. I honestly had to do it without filming it because, okay, it wasn't difficult, but it was just took a little bit more brain power than I kind of originally thought. That probably would have been helped if I had ironed it like you're supposed to. But I did get all my seams all nice. I'll show you an up close in a second. I did get all the seams flat, but I did have to do it seam by seam. The water worked, but I was finding my fabric was actually drying too quickly, and by the time I was up to that square, the seam had like come back together. You know how we're like doing it like this? The seam had come like this. So it's been a few days since I worked on this. It's actually the night before I'm uploading this video. I've just finished editing it, and I'm going to insert this clip afterwards. But I had to show you like what we ended up with. And this will be part 1, and I'll do a part 2 where we finish it off. Just because I need to get this video up, and I just honestly need a bit of a break from this project. Like I said, it wasn't difficult. It was just, I don't know, I did this strip, and then I was a bit like, I couldn't get the squares to line up perfectly, and that could be because the composition of my fabrics is slightly different. So this like muslin rainbow fabric stretched a little bit. Actually, it doesn't stretch, it like shifts. If you've ever had fabric that like, it doesn't stretch, but it like moves like this. It's kind of hard to explain. So I was finding the squares weren't lining up perfectly, even though they're exactly the same size, which I thought I got correct when I did it earlier. But yeah, I was kind of a bit disappointed. So like I was kind of hoping to film this process, but I honestly just had to turn my camera off so I could focus on what I was doing. But yeah, so it's not totally perfect, but I mean for like my first go on something proper like this, I think it's alright. I am going to start more quilting though, for like maybe smaller projects. I don't know if I actually want to make like a blanket. I kind of think I just want to make like quilted fabric sections and then make things out of them. Like I saw someone on TikTok, she made like an oven mitt, or you could make like a baby quilt, which would probably be just like a couple more strips of these, or like a tote bag out of quilted fabrication. So I might do some projects like that. I did kind of pick tiny squares, didn't I? I could have done bigger squares, and that definitely would have helped. You know, it would have been bigger quicker, but whatever. So yeah, I am going to keep going with this little section. I'm going to make it a square. So currently it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares like long and 3 squares tall. So I'm just going to make it 8 squares by 8 squares, which I think I have cut out enough to do so. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put the backing on it, and it's going to be like a little baby quilt. I don't know, now I really want to go to the fabric store and pick out like proper stuff, and I want to do the batting and top stitching and everything. Like I said, I'll do a part 2 to finish this project off, because this video is kind of long and talky, and I need to get it uploaded like I said. So yeah, but I wanted to show you what I ended up with, and I think it does look pretty cute. Like I am happy with the fabrics. I was a bit worried they weren't going to look cute together, but I think it does look cute, and I think the gingham will look cute on the back. So yes, that is what I ended up with. I did get all my seams flat. You can see this one here, it is flat. I just haven't flattened out these long seams yet, so I'm definitely going to get the iron out, unfortunately, and iron all the seams flat as I go. It's going to make it so much easier. So yeah, definitely iron. I know I keep saying that, but yeah. So we will come back for part 2. I might upload it in a couple weeks, and we'll finish this off. I am going to make a baby quilt, like I said, just because, I mean, I cut out all the squares, but I think for future, I'm just going to make quilted bits of fabric, and we can make bags and baskets and book covers and things like that. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of quilt along with me. I've just made the thumbnail, and it turned out so cute, and I called it a quilt with me. So cute, because I make my crochet with me's. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. This was fun, frustrating, and a little bit like interesting. I don't know, it was cool. I'm excited to top stitch it. I think that will really finish it off, but obviously you don't do the top stitching right till the end, so I definitely need a break from this.